first clue that something was off. Usually he's quick to bark at anything near the house, but he was completely out, snoring like nothing was happening. Still, the sound was hard to ignore now. Scratch, scratch, followed by what sounded like whimpering. I told myself it was probably a stray dog. We've had a few wander through the neighborhood before, and the fence usually keeps them out. But something about it made my stomach twist. Finally, I got up to check. I peeked through the blinds, and that's when I saw him. Max. He was standing outside, pawing at the door, his ears pinned back and his tail wagging nervously like he was desperate to come in. My first thought was that I must have left the door open earlier and somehow he got out. But that didn't make sense. The door was locked. I knew it was locked. And besides, Max wasn't supposed to be outside, because Max was still inside. I turned back to the living room, and there he was, lying on the rug exactly where I'd left him. He wasn't asleep anymore though. He'd lifted his head and was looking right at me, his ears twitching at the sound of the scratching. I froze, my mind racing, trying to process what I was seeing. I looked back at the door. The Max outside was still there, pawing and whining softly, his eyes wide and pleading, and the Max inside was staring at me, tilting his head like he was confused by my reaction. It didn't make sense. None of it made sense. My first instinct was to open the door, to let the outside Max in and figure it out later. But as I reached for the lock, something stopped me. The way he moved. It was subtle, but it was wrong. His pawing was mechanical, like he was imitating the motion rather than doing it naturally. And the whimpering? It sounded off. Too even, like someone had recorded a dog whining and was playing it back on a loop. My chest tightened as I stepped back, my hand hovering over the lock. I didn't let him in. Instead, I locked the deadbolt and pulled the blind shut.